Our panel is now here in the arena. CNN contributor, New York Times journalist and podcast host Lulu Garcia-Navarro, the former policy director for Mitt Romney, Lonnie Chen, former New York Congressman Max Rose, and the former chief of staff to Vice President Pence, Marc Short. And we're also joined by Shark Tank host, chairman of O'Leary Ventures, Kevin O'Leary. Thank you all for being here. I actually think we briefly had Marc and Kevin there in the same shot, which is relevant because they're very much on opposite sides of this issue. Kevin, let me start with you. The sort of theory here, or the question being posed, was President Trump right about tariffs where everybody else was wrong? What say you? Kevin, that was to you. Can you hear me? I think we may not be able to communicate with Kevin O'Leary. So, Marc Short, you're going to get to go first. And actually, the thing I had for you was from the Wall Street Journal editorial board, which called our most recent GDP report the weirdest GDP report ever. And they say, if you think President Trump's tariff reductions don't affect the economy, take a gander at Wednesday's report for the second quarter GDP. The economy grew 3% on an annual basis, but largely because imports collapsed. The crazy swing in imports shows how much Mr. Trump's up and down policies have disrupted business decisions and left companies scrambling to adapt. This seems to have had a negative effect on private investment, which fell 15.6% in the second quarter.
Well, look, I think you have to combine the first and second quarter GDPs because the first quarter, I think, was exceptionally low because of the trade agenda, and the second quarter is probably lifted a little bit high because of exactly the issue you say, that the imports fell off a cliff, and so that helps the GDP number go up. I think that it's odd to me, of all the issues for our party to import from the Democrats, that we would take Bernie Sanders' trade agenda. And I've never seen a Republican administration with more central planners than this one. I think that it's bad economics, but Kasie, from a legal perspective, there's no precedent for any president having this authority. Today, in fact, inside the Federal Court of Appeals, there was an argument on this that I think did not go well for the administration, that I think will likely lose again. That, 250 years ago, the original Tea Party activists actually fought a revolution over the notion of the king imposing tariffs on tea. And here we are now, 250 years later, and it seems like the Republicans want to have a whimsical approach to leveling tariffs across the globe on every single country, friend and foe alike. And I think the economics are bad. I think it's bad for national security. And I think it's also something they're going to lose on legally.
All right. I think we've retrieved Kevin O'Leary from the technical wilderness. Kevin, what say you about all this?
I disagree with all of that. This is so simple. Let me lay it out. You go to Europe. You take an American product to sell it in Italy, they whack a 13 to 50% VAT tax, consumer tax. And you go to the airport, you get your money back, of which 1% people do. Same in Canada, same in Mexico, England, Switzerland, all the same. All that Trump has done, because we never had consumer taxes in the U.S., you can't get that through Congress, he calls it a tariff. Reciprocal, and kind of the highlight deal right now is the EU, 26 cats being herded, and Germany and France are a little, for lack of better words, pissed off, but what he did is he whacked them with a reciprocal 15% VAT tax in the U.S. You ship something over here from Europe, you pay the same thing they whack an American product with. It's not that complicated. And the market, because listen, I don't give a rodent's rear end about politicians. I care about policy. I have to invest. The market has absorbed this idea, and GM came out last week and said, okay, I get it. Our margins are down on car part tariffs, but we think we'll eat a third. We'll push a third out on price increases, and we'll use AI to solve the other third. No one's even talking about the productivity of AI.
That's the thing. Price increases. People are going to pay more for their cars.
45% decrease in profits.
Okay, so tell me why the American economy right now is at its highest value in history. This is not an ad for Trump. I'm an investor. Something's working here. It's a policy decision. I'm a policy guy. The Europeans have been sucking 15% cash for 40 years out of America. And you're unhappy that we're doing the same thing to them? I don't think so. Get over it. Breathe the oxygen and be happy with your portfolio.
Lonnie Chen, you jump in. You're a policy guy, too.
Well, yeah, look, I think that what we're seeing here is the structural resilience of the American economy. I mean, that's really what this is all about, right? If you think about the numbers we've seen, for the most part, I actually think they paint a pretty good economic picture. I think consumers feel pretty good. We'll see how they feel when we get to Christmas, all right? A lot of the inventory that we're seeing now is pre-tariff inventory. We'll see how that affects prices as we go on. Inflation's running a little hotter than we would like, so there are elements of this that are warning signs. But overall, the economy is performing pretty well. And I would also say this. I think one thing that President Trump has done is to reset the deck chairs in terms of expectations on tariffs. Good or bad, I think the reality is that we all expect, and markets expect, a certain level of tariff to be there. Whether that's good or bad news, we're going to see. But the point is, he has done exactly, to your point, what he said he would do on trade policy.
Well, has he, though? Because let's think about who the main trading partners of the United States are. China, Mexico, and Canada. Oh, wait a second. Do we have any trade agreements with them yet? Are there tariffs with those people yet? No, there are not. And we have just seen that President Trump has delayed what's happening in Mexico. He has so far not taken the bait with Canada, and we don't know where we are with China. And so what I would say about this is that, you know, this idea that somehow these tariffs have come in and it's all been priced in and this is beautiful and wonderful, we're not there yet.
I've been waiting so many years to say Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, is dead wrong here. I mean, this is an awesome opportunity. Look, what we've seen for the last 6 months is an emotional and political roller coaster with Donald Trump announcing tariffs, then saying they're not actually happening. So you can't understand yet what the market's reaction will be or what the price reactions will be, because no one actually believes that he's going to do what he's saying he's going to do. So let's assume that this actually happens. Those prices, the 17, 18%, the consumer's going to bear them. It's simple, utter math. I'll tell you the only metric I look at, which is obviously politics. And when the economy is not going well against the president's party, you will see people running for seats that they wouldn't otherwise be able to win. Take Colorado, for instance. Jessica Killen, Eileen Lobacher, running just recently announced, 2 veterans for Colorado 4th and Colorado 5th, 2 seats that a Democrat doesn't usually think that they can win, but they see the direction the economy is going in, they see this chaos, and those are legitimate pickups for Democrats in amazing seats.
Mr. O'Leary, a.k.a. Mr. Wonderful, your name has been invoked. Would you like to respond?
Yes, just so we all know, Mr. Wonderful is never wrong. And I'm telling you why, because Mr. Wonderful works with the numbers. He simply works with the numbers. I don't get involved in congressional seats. I don't give a damn. I care about the numbers, and the numbers are extremely good on inflation, on job increase in actual job wages are fantastic. GDP growth came in way ahead of consensus. This is what matters. And regarding Canada and Mexico, don't worry about them. They're going to come into the fold because Canada has all the energy. Some deal's going to be cut. Don't worry about that. Same with Mexico. It takes time. No administration. I'm not defending Trump. I'm talking about policy. No one's ever done this many trade deals in 6 months. It's impossible. All you're reading are the headlines. The headline on Europe is 15% reciprocal. I get it. I accept it. I'll work with it. With all exceptions. Remember, the only reason the Europeans are taking the pain at all is pharma and automotive. They can't live without access to the U.S. market. So Trump is squeezing their heads to access this market. After decades of sucking 15% VAT taxes out of the U.S., now they have to absorb the same suction, if you want to call it that. And listen,
Marc,
Canada is a geographic gold mine for America.
Europe is the one paying for this. It's the Americans paying it. The tariff is a tax on Americans. And if you're a European automaker, your choice is now, oh, wait, I have a 15% tariff on American. Or you know what? There's a 50% steel and aluminum tariff if I decide to make it in America. It's like all you're doing is hurting American consumers. And yes, Marc's an all-time high. Kevin is right about that. But markets fell when he announced these tariffs on April 2nd. He's then delayed them for 90 days. So now let's see what happens. They actually go into effect tomorrow.
Kevin? Kevin?
Kumbaya. Let's talk about aluminum. Nobody can make aluminum without bauxite. Who's got all the bauxite in North America? Not some of it, all of it. The Canadians up in Alberta. So I guarantee you, with certainty, there's going to be a deal because you can't make aluminum in America without Albertan bauxite. Sorry, that's just how it works. And I know that. The market knows that. Investors know that. It's going to get worked out. You may not like his style. I get it. I ignore the noise of Trump. The bombastic statements, all that stuff. Policy, my friend. Work with me on policy, and you too will be right. Work with me.
Can I ask you a question, though? And I am just curious. Where do you fall on Brazil? So you have President Trump saying, I'm going to put 50% tariffs on Brazil, the biggest coffee producer. So if you drink coffee, that might be a bad thing for American consumers. And he's doing it for political reasons. If you care just about the numbers, how does that sit with you? I am genuinely curious.
Well, if I'm in Brazil and my number one importer of coffee is the United States, which I'm going to assume that's the case because a lot of people drink coffee, including me, every day, they're going to say, oh, that's not good. Maybe we should work something out. Trump is, listen, I'm not endorsing how he does it. I don't care. What I care about is what comes out the other end of the meat grinder. So he's using the market size of America, which is more than half the world's consumption. It's huge. No one's ever done this before. Nobody. You may not like it, but he's saying to Brazil, hey, I'm going to cut you off from the American market until you do what I want, and I'm willing to negotiate. Some person in Brazil is responsible for coffee exports saying to the head guy in Brazil, hey, big boss, we're all going to be eating worms here if we don't work this out. There'll be a deal there, too. You just don't like the way here's the thing I think that people have come to understand.
I mean, I think it's
Trump,
Brazil is but Brazil is distinct because this isn't about, hey, someone should pay more because I used to be the correspondent in Brazil. Someone should pay more because they're treating us unfairly. This is actually a political thing. He doesn't like the way their sovereign government is treating an ally of his there. It's not about the economics. So I'm just curious. I'm just wondering about that. That's all.
Briefly, Kevin, we got to get going, unfortunately, but go ahead.
Okay. I don't care about that. All I care about is what comes out the other end. And the weird thing about this administration, Trump lets the cameras roll. He lets you watch the sausage being made. It's crazy chicken stuff, but I don't watch that anymore. I don't care. I wait for the policy. I'm an investor. That's all I care about. And that's what we should all do. Bring it down a notch. Let the theater roll. Work on the policy.
All right. Kevin O'Leary, a.k.a. Mr. Wonderful, as has been mentioned a couple times today. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Our panel is back. Lulu, what say you? I mean, I think there are cynics out there who would say, oh, yes, of course, she's got a book out, and that's what all of this is about. But what do you make of the way she has been positioning herself over the last couple of days?
Eye emoji. I think, it's really interesting. I was never convinced she was going to run for governor of California. I think it was, I just think it was a bit of a sidestepping for her. And I just think she was vice president. She was the candidate. She has a case, I think, to make, which is the title of the book, which I've heard sort of repeated by other Democratic operatives, which is the Democratic Party did her dirty. They gave her 107 days. She was hamstrung by President Biden, who said, you have to be in lockstep with me. She didn't get to make her case. And so this might be, I don't know, reintroduction.
She could have decided to break with him. I mean, she didn't.
She could have, and she didn't. But what I'm trying to say is I think this is her reintroduction possibly to the American people.
Lonnie, you are, in addition to being a former Romney person, you are also, of course, big time in California. What were you expecting here?
Well, I thought she was going to run for governor in part because it's an important job, and what else was she going to do between now and figuring out whatever her next political move would have been? It's not a great reason to run for governor. It's a really important job, but that was my expectation. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot out of 107 Days book. I expect to see it in the bargain bin at Barnes & Noble in a few weeks.
Ouch!
Look forward to reading it then. But I just think that fundamentally that this is the challenge the Democratic Party has, which is where's the new leadership coming from?
Wow.
And it's just is one of those things where it's a recycling of the past, and maybe she'll run in 28. Doesn't present a new vision for anybody, I don't think.
Congressman?
Well, remind me to stay on his good side. That was harsh. Wow. Look, Harris could have won. It has nothing to do with 107 days. She was the vice president. You could stand up a campaign quickly in this day and age, 100% name ID. The reason why she lost is because she ran with a team that was Obama 4.0, that was playing this ball game like it was 2007, 2006, 2004. It was absurd. Everything was hyper analytics, sliced and diced the electorate, word salad to the extreme. No one knew what she stood for at a time where everyone wants the Democrats to be clear, crisp, and bold. So that's what I'm looking to see, is that does she blame this on 107 days, or does she blame this on the fact that she outsourced her campaign to David Plouffe, who was 20 years too late with his strategy?
Mark,
there's nothing Republicans like more than seeing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris still in the news. I mean, there's no other gift we could be given. And if they eventually do turn the page, what is the future of the Democratic Party? Mamdani and AOC? I mean, their party is in such a mess right now. And so, yeah, let's just keep recycling Kamala and Joe Biden news clips. It'll be good for the Republican Party.
Well, I'm glad that you raised Mamdani and AOC because, of course, the police officer who was slain in that shooting in Midtown Manhattan earlier this week was late to rest today. And his killing has brought the primary on the Democratic side for mayor into a debate about defunding the police, which is, of course, a defining cultural debate. Andrew Cuomo was on this program earlier this week talking about Mamdani's previous statements around this. Mamdani did a lengthy news conference yesterday and changed his tune somewhat on his previous defund the police statements. Let's watch what Mamdani said.
My statements in 2020 were ones made amidst a frustration that many New Yorkers held. I am not defunding the police. I am not running to defund the police. Andrew Cuomo is far more comfortable living his life in the past and then attacking tweets of 2020 than in running against the campaign that we have been leading for the last 8 months.
Congressman, is that the kind of debate that you think is going to win Democrats control?
Well, look, first of all, good for him not supporting defund. I mean, that era was my political Vietnam, and I would urge every Democrat never to support that term ever again.
He only had 4.5 years to clean it up. Sure is quick on it.
He referred to it like some people refer to their spring break photos. That was 2020, man. It was a crazy
in
time.
of his youth.
Come on. But what I would say is, he always could have gone a little further. He could have said that I was wrong. And I think it's one of the misconceptions about politics. Voters applaud you when you come out and say, I'm not perfect, I made a mistake, should not have held that position. But I do certainly think it's a good thing that he went so far as to say that he does not support it right now, particularly at a point of high turmoil in New York City.
Political reporters older than me would refer to a sister soldier moment. Mark Short.
Well, I mean, it's going to create the question of, will he still support Intifada against the Jews?
He's changed the way that he's talked about that a little bit.
Okay, so how many other issues he changed? Does he still support government controlling the grocery stores in New York City?
Interestingly, Michael Bloomberg once supported subsidized grocery stores in specific underserved parts of the city. But that's a longer and different conversation. I think
I'm not endorsing Michael Bloomberg.
The point that you're making is this is ground you guys want to be on.
Well, sure. And each one that he recants, it's going to open the door of, well, what about this other statement you made? Are you recanting that one too? And so, yeah, it's going to keep creating a lot of openings for Republicans.
And the issue is a lot of Democrats I talk to will say, well, this is really just about the mayor of New York City. It's about a single election. The reality is this is the bigger challenge they face, which is what is the future of the Democratic Party has not been well defined. And therefore, in the absence of definition, right, this is what steps into the vacuum, is a debate about what this person said and whether it's credible or not for them to disavow what they've said when it feels like their entire political career has been in support of the kinds of positions that he's now trying to disavow now that he's in a competitive race. And so, to me, it doesn't feel credible. And it's a challenge, I think, for Democrats around the country now.
Yeah. So one other big piece of the story for the Democratic Party right now is this redistricting fight that's going on in Texas, where Republicans in the legislature, there's 5 potential seats they could change the lines for to hand to Republicans. It would force Democrats into matchups against each other. Congressman Lloyd Doggett is one of those. He was on our air earlier with one of my colleagues saying that he plans to run for re-election. Let's watch what he said.
It's not a matter of me running against him. I'm in District 37. 2/3 of my people are there. I filed for re-election. But we have set out a plan to work together, united, to fight this plan. And whatever happens after this, we can take a look at it then.
So, Lulu, Lloyd Doggett, actually, I believe the first Democrat to call for President Biden to step down in the wake of his debate, still one of the older members of Congress here, sparking a debate about, what should the future of the party look like? He basically defending himself, saying, well, I think we played in that clip. He was basically saying, well, we don't all have to be young. What do you make of it?
I think among the many challenges that people have so ably discussed here of the Democratic Party, the other one, of course, is generational. And I don't believe that Mamdani is like the younger generation necessarily. There's a lot of younger Democrats who do not subscribe to that particular viewpoint. It is a party that has a lot of different ideas in it. That said, there is a hunger, I have to tell you, among many people to see a lot of these older Democrats move on out.
Congressman, do you agree with that?
In certain districts, absolutely, particularly where, some of these members can't remember their name. This is really, really bad here, and it's finally good that we're talking about it. Some of them are still running and moving. Look, let's not forget.
Is that the bar?
That's the bar.
They're moving.
That's the bar.
They're running.
And there's some of them that are over 80 that could outdrink all of us at this table. But the point here is that the Republican Party right now is led by a man who's nearly 80 years old. And he excites a bunch of young people. Bernie Sanders is still packing arenas filled with young, energized people. So it is not as simple as let's just bring out some, people who are in their early 30s who can make cool videos. The Democrats, irrespective of their age, need to be bold in opposition to this administration and need to present very clear ideas, not 30-page white papers, about policies that helps everybody. That's change. That's a positive improvement. And do it with authentic candidates. I don't care if they're on Social Security or not.
Lulu Garcia-Navarro, what does this say?
Are you asking me because I'm the female here? Clearly.
No, I'm asking you because you always know. Because
I'm clearly obsessed with home decorating, and which is all true.
I personally am. Actually.
I literally watch
my personal hobby
all the time. I thought you knew that. That's why you came to me.
I did not know that, actually.
So what I would say is, I guess more power to him. If he wants to create a big, beautiful ballroom. He can do that. I think the questions are to be a little bit of a curmudgeon and a boring journalist is to say, who's going to pay for it? Are we going to know? How are we going to track that? All the kind of boring stuff about influence peddling, et cetera, et cetera.
He is very angry at Jerome Powell for spending lots of money to renovate the Federal Reserve, but seems happy to spend money on his renovation. What do you think?
I support it, but his style's horrible. Right? What is this Palace of Versailles stuff? It's god awful. But in all sincerity, we should agree on this. Me, Max Rose, a Democrat, says, good, may I have a new ballroom? Republicans, when Democrats have the White House, cannot clutch their pearls when our president wears a tan suit. Okay? So, we have to move past this.
I thought you were going for a pool. I thought you were going to say can't clutch their pearls when we build a giant pool. That's where I thought you were going with that.
Now you're thinking. But it's amazing. When the Republicans are in opposition, they suddenly are fiscally conservative and morally upright and every dollar and cent, and you can't even wear a tan suit. And now Donald Trump wants to build a $200 million ballroom, and they applaud him. So I'll get behind the ballroom if they get behind any level of consistency.
Are you behind the ballroom?
I'm not worried about Democrats' tan suits. But I think the president and the first lady both have a great sense of style. I think it's fine. But I think what you said is right, Kasie. I think, a week after going to the Fed, I got to wonder what Jerome Powell's in there thinking right now. Because I think it undercuts a lot of their arguments against Jerome Powell.
Well, he's certainly, that particular moment where Jerome Powell is still one of the few people in Washington, at least who will stand next to Donald Trump and basically publicly contradict him. Lonnie Chen, it does seem like he wants it to be Mar-a-Lago, right? The White House?
The sensibility is very similar. The design aesthetic seems to be very similar. And, that's his design aesthetic. As long as taxpayers are not footing the bill, I'm fine.
Do you think we'll do the demolition thing like HGTV where we'll see him smacking against a wall?
All right. Unfortunately, we're out of time for this for this particular conversation. We'll be right back.